Still can't quite believe it. How have we not beaten Norwich City? Just do not get it. You finally think after 9 years of hurt that our time has come. We pop up with a goal which for all the world seems like the winner in the 89th minute, bullet header through Luke Chambers, and somehow we throw it away, and I just still can't believe it. My voice, as you can hear, is still completely shot to bits. And I'm just so gutted. I'm going to go to Portman Road tonight to watch Ipswich against Cardiff. I'm just struggling to get myself up for the game in any kind of way because Sunday was just grim. And we didn't even lose the game. Let's try and actually go through the game in some sort of analytical way, which to be honest I think is still genuinely hard to do because emotions are still running high and it's difficult to break it down into a logic piece of analysis, but let's give it a go. So, first half, Norwich City were pretty poor, I thought. I think we certainly had the better of the first half. I think physically we bullied them. Joe Garner up top was an absolute nightmare for them. He was ratting around them, and I think that's exactly the sort of player you want on Derby Day. I think we looked pretty solid at the back. Carter Vickers, this is throughout the whole game as well. Carter Vickers was superb, really silky on the ball, which is the first kind of time I've really seen him excel. So he played three at the back. Adam Webster and Chamber as well was at the back. So we were pretty solid there. Going forward, I think we looked pretty dangerous, especially from set pieces, as we always do. Waggy had a couple of really good set pieces. The way he whips in those corners, as we saw for the goal, is fantastic. Callum Connolly had a good strike from about 40 yards, which tested Angus Gunn. Angus Gunn, by the way, Norwich fans constantly going on about how good he is. Thought he was bang average on Sunday. I couldn't see what all the fuss was about with him at all. I know obviously it's Derby Day and he's probably a bit nervous, but Jesus Christ, I mean, calm down. He's not a world beater from what I saw on Sunday. So there we are. Yeah, definitely first half we had much the better of the game. I don't remember them even coming anywhere near. We had a couple of kind of half penalty shouts that I don't think either were really particularly strong shouts, to be honest. And then you're going in at half time and you're kind of a bit worried because you think that you've had your half of dominance and it's unlikely that Norwich are going to play that badly again in the second half, and they didn't. They came out in the second half much better and they began to dominate the game, I have to say. If you look back at the stats, I think they had about, I'm not entirely sure what it was, but I think it was up and around 70% possession in that second half. James Maddison began to pull the strings. He is a top player. What a prick the guy is, despite being a good player. If you follow him on social media and Twitter, the most arrogant bloke in the world. And speaking to Norwich fans after the game, they seem to think they're going to sell him for about 30 million in the summer. I think dream on is what I'd say on that one for a guy that's had half a good season in the Championship. He did look exceptional. He definitely stood out on Sunday, but to be touting him around for 30 million I think is a bit much personally. But despite how good he was, I think Bart won the battle of that between him and Maddison. He made a couple of really good saves from free kicks, especially the one he tipped onto the bar. Yes, we were beginning to kind of get pretty physical on him and we were bringing him down a lot, but you could see that he is a class player and he was beginning to pull the strings. And you definitely felt as the half went on that if there was going to be a team that was going to win it, it was going to be Norwich. and we didn't really have much going forward at all in that second half. However, you do always feel with Ipswich, as I said in the first half, we were very good from set pieces, and whenever we get a corner or free kick, you feel pretty optimistic when Waggy's standing over them. And in the 89th minute, Waghorn whipped in one, and what a bullet header from Chambers. He's got away from his man, he wanted it more, downward header. And if there was one bloke that I would have wanted to score out of that whole Ipswich team, it would have been Lukey Chambers, there's no doubt about that. Wild celebrations in the Ipswich end, I couldn't quite believe it, to be honest. 9 years of hurt and it's all going to be over in a few minutes' time. We're going to go to the pub after the game, celebrate it long into the afternoon. And I think after we scored, I was still thinking, there's a chance that they'll get back into it. But as the time went on and on and on, and it got to about the 93rd minute, I thought, this is actually it. We're actually going to beat them at Carrow Road. Talking about the added time, by the way, I don't know where 5 minutes came from, first of all. That was a bit of a joke, I thought. Yes, there were a couple of substitutions, there was a goal, but 5 minutes definitely seemed a bit much to me. I don't know, I'm not a referee. And then the thing that I've looked back on just frustrates me so much is Jonas Knudsen. He's got the ball on the left-hand side in their half in the 94th minute, and all he has to do is just turn that way, go to the corner, keep it there, frustrate them. And for some reason, he tries to play the ball into Waghorn. It's an awful ball. He's played it about that far off the ground in front of him. Waghorn can never get there. And that's when you just think about footballers kind of, they don't have the best reputation as being the brightest of people, and just game management. That's the second time we've done that this season as well. I remember Sheffield Wednesday at home. I think it was Freddie Sears had exactly the same chance to keep the ball in the corner, but chose to kind of do something, flick the ball up or some stupid thing like that. So we lose the ball, long ball from Madison, I think, diagonal ball. And it looks like it's probably going to go out for a goal kick. But to be fair, good desire from Grant Hanley, centre-back, who's thrown himself up there, gets to the ball. Bartosz Białkowski goes chasing the ball. I don't think it was necessarily his fault. I actually think he managed to get back in goal before the cross, basically before the cross came in. I think he was in position. It was probably a defender that should have tracked Hanley rather than Bart, however. And he puts in a really good ball, and Tim Closer is waiting there, 6 yards out, climbing above Carter Vickers, and he plants the ball into the corner of the net. Cue pandemonium in the Barclay end, and I've just never been more gutted as I say at a football match. I was straight out of the stadium at that point, and I still can't quite believe it. As I say, I'm struggling to get myself up for the game tonight. I will be there, of course, because that's what you do as a fan, but it's just a difficult one to take, to be honest. But there we are. The hurt continues, but I think we're getting closer, aren't we? I think, as I said, Norwich look bang average. I think the gap's only going to get smaller as well. This is the last year that they've got their parachute payments, and I think it's only going to become more of a level playing field as time goes on. And I don't think it's going to be long before we do beat them. Completely agree with Luke Chambers' comments. They're running around in the 95th minute like they've won their cup final when they've spent 200 million odd in the last 5 years, which is slightly embarrassing from my point of view, I think. But there we are. The wait goes on, and that's that. There we are. A couple of other things I want to talk about. Let's get to the other kind of talking point from an Ipswich Town point of view, which is Mick McCarthy swearing at the Ipswich fans when we scored. Slightly strange one. And I guess rightfully so, Ipswich fans are not happy about that. I think the divide is just getting further and further between the fans and Mick. And I think Stuart Watson, the Ipswich EADT reporter, said that surely that's the final nail in the coffin, and I think he's probably right. I can't see him staying at Ipswich Town past the summer, especially after things like that. People won't agree with my thoughts on this, but I still kind of slightly sympathise with him with regard to what he said on Sunday. You know, he's being told to fuck off by the Ipswich fans, as he has so many times on Sunday, and he's not a robot. You know, the ball goes in the back of the net, and he is emotional. You know, we've just scored, and he wants to give some back to the Ipswich fans who've been telling him his football is shit. Yes, you know, it doesn't look great, and I think it's slightly embarrassing from when other fans look at it and they're thinking, why is he swearing at your own fans? But as I say, he's not a robot. People do have emotions. What I do find slightly embarrassing is the way he's kind of come out after and said that he wasn't aiming it towards the Ipswich fans and it was just a reaction towards the goal, which is utter nonsense. If you look back at it, he's literally looking at the direct angle towards the Ipswich fans, and it's pretty clear that his words are aimed towards us. A lot of people, I understand the opinion, are completely fed up and think it's disgraceful behaviour that he should be swearing at your own fans. And I do get it, but I also just think that he's giving it back when Ipswich fans are singing towards him, and I kind of do get that. One thing I find really embarrassing from the Ipswich fans and just so tin pot is the way that we're singing Mick McCarthy, your football is shit on Derby Day in front of the Norwich fans. What are you thinking? It's just fine, you know, if you think that, you can sing that in your home games, you can sing that at other away games, but don't sing it in front of the Norwich fans on Derby Day. It's just embarrassing, and they're going to feed off it. And I just thought that was pretty cringy from my point of view, but there we are. Mixed comments after the game in general, where I think he was happy with the performance, and it's just a bit of stupidity from firstly Jonas Knudsen, and then we failed to stop the cross that have cost us in the end. And you can see that he was pretty gutted after, as were we all. So that's that. Looked like it was going to be a great day. I do just want to mention a couple of things about football fans in general and how stupid football fans can be. So we weren't allowed as Ipswich fans any alcohol at half time because fucking idiots started pulling lights down in the away end before the game. I mean, why did you get your kicks from pulling lights down in the away ends? I mean, it's just the saddest thing ever. And the other thing is the stupidity. It's like it all comes out on Derby Day and people just turn into morons. Before the game, we get an unofficial pub now. We're not normally given a pub by Norwich. We normally have to go straight into the away end and drink in there. But in the last couple of years, we've been given a pub kind of out of Norwich slightly. And again, we were banned from drinking in the pub a bit because some idiot decided to let off his flare in the pub, which he thought was cool. And you see some things on Derby Day and you're just kind of embarrassed to be an Ipswich fan at times, but there we are. That's that. If you get your kicks out of letting flares off in pubs and putting lights down, then you crack on, I guess. Brief preview on the Cardiff game. As I said a couple of times, I'm finding it hard to get up for the game, but I will be there under the lights at Portman Road. I'm kind of slightly worried about the attendance tonight. I don't think it's going to be great. Cardiff are obviously a good side. I think they won at the weekend and they're now up into second. I actually had a bet on them to get promoted before the start of the season. I think Neil Warnock factor. He's been there and done it. I think he's got about 7 promotions on his CV. A lot of people don't like Neil Warnock, but he's the kind of manager that you'd be very happy to have in the Championship, I think. Gets the job done, motivates his players well. A bit of a kind of Mick McCarthy type manager, I guess. He kind of gets his players to scrap it out, doesn't he? I know Mick and Neil Warnock are good friends. And Warnock's actually come out with some quite funny comments. He said that something always happens when he comes to Portman Road, whether it's Sol Bamba assaulting him or something else. I don't know if Ipswich fans remember. Was it last year? I think it was last season when Sol Bamba got sent off and he ended up having a scrap with Neil Warnock on the side of the pitch. And as Warnock said, Ipswich fans always give him a lively reception. I quite like him. I think he'd be a kind of manager that you'd want. But there we are. He's come out with the classic comment that so many opposition managers have this season. When kind of asked about Mick McCarthy and Ipswich fans getting fed up with him and his football, he said, well, be careful what you wish for. We've heard that enough times this season. So that's that. Slightly hard vlog to do, to be honest. I don't know if you can hear in my voice, and I'm still slightly pissed off about it. Still can't believe we haven't beaten Norwich City. But that is football, isn't it? That's the highs and the lows of being a football fan. Thank you very much for watching once again. Please do continue to watch the videos and do subscribe on the channel and give it a like. Any comments that you have will be gratefully received, as well as any other kind of thoughts that you do have. So thank you very much for watching. Let's hope we can have a bit of positivity tonight and beat Cardiff City, and I'll catch up with you soon.